Good evening, LinkedIn and YouTube. Welcome to another episode of BIZE Talks presents Real Business Lessons, where we talk about the real business lessons from the corporate world and we invite the corporate leaders to share their insights with you. Guys, today we are going to talk about brand building for your startup. When you are building your startup, you generally have to start your brand building together with your sales, marketing, and other activities. But brand building is a long term exercise. So, how do we approach brand building in 2024? Let's try to understand this with our guest speaker, Mr. Ankit Majethia. Hi, Ankit.
Hi Rakesh, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing wonderfully. Thank you so much for inviting me here today.
Great. Ankit, we are so glad to have you on board with us and share your insights for brand building. I'm sure a lot of startups today would be dying to understand how they can start with their brand building activities. So before we start, Ankit, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, perfect. Uh, once again, thank you Rakesh for inviting, and a very good evening to everyone who's watching us live here and who's going to watch us later. So, this is Ankit Majethia. I'm the founder of Hangover Media. I've got over 20 plus years of experience in marketing and brand building. I've created multiple brands, helped them grow, and even helped some of the brands scale successfully. And I take very pride in that. By education, I'm holding a master's degree in marketing, and I've always been an entrepreneur since my school days when I used to help my father at his retail shop which he had. Since I remember, this was I think sixth or seventh grade, I used to go to his shop, and since then I think the entrepreneur bug has already bit me, and I know there's been no looking back since then. And after my graduation, I worked for six plus years with different corporates in different industries, and in 2012, I started on my own, and it's been 11 and a half years now, oddly, starting on my own, and it's been a roller coaster ride, which I've been enjoying. Thank you so much.
Great. So, Ankit, our audience, mostly the startup founders, right? Um, Generally, what happens is, when they start marketing themselves, they use a lot of social media, or they use a lot of tips that they receive from, their colleagues or their experts who happen to be experts rather. So, I want to understand, rather start with a question.
Hmm.
Could you tell us a funny or unexpected marketing blunder that startups make?
Okay, perfect. So I think this is a great question to start off with, right? A funny blunder. So I think this experience, I think we all must have had, and we must have known about this brand. So though it is not a startup, but yes, they made a blunder, and this was by Tata Group when they launched Nano. Right? This was
Hmm.
when they targeted or positioned it as a cheap car, right?
Yeah.
But they probably misunderstood the Indian audience, where we all are aspirational audiences or aspirational buyers. No one wants to be labeled a person who's bought a cheaper product, right?
Hmm.
That's where their positioning went, I think, wrong, and then probably the product never took off the shelf, right? I think this was the blunder I think that even a big established brand can make, and
Yeah.
we've seen that. Yeah.
I think Nano was a collectible car, which came for a limited edition.
People,
Cool.
when they opened the registrations with a very small amount, everyone thought we will get it for ourselves, we'll get it.
Yeah.
But
Ten
ultimately, when
thousand.
the marketing and branding happened, no
Uh,
one seemed to be liking it that much.
right. 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 But then, so for startups, actually, it's a pressure of sales, right? They do a lot of things to promote themselves and capture the attention of the audience. Let's imagine a classic bootstrapping startup, okay, who is not funded. and we have very limited resources. So, what marketing superpower do you wish they could have? How can they work around their limitations?
Marketing superpower. I think we all have been watching these superhero movies, and we always wish that I could have this superpower by which I can be the ace entrepreneur that I want to be, right? That I ever dreamt of. So I think the superpower that I would believe a startup founder who's already bootstrapped can have is one is research.
Hmm. Okay.
Research is the key here. Research, and I think we should also have a second superpower, which is storytelling. When you talk about
Hmm.
founders, right? Founders are the first people who believe in their products. Right? So they need to be a great storyteller to be able to sell their vision, sell their
Right.
idea. And it comes to different audiences, right? When I say selling, right, you also mentioned that people want to, or founders want to initially have good sales when they're doing marketing. So they have to sell their idea initially to attract good talent. Then
Hmm.
once they have done that, they have to sell their idea to their customers, right? Once they've got the few customers, they have found the product market fit, they then need to have to sell their ideas to the investors to attract money, right? I think a founder, bootstrap, needs to be a good storyteller and he needs to be a good researcher.
Hmm.
And why I say research is because identifying the right customer and the product market fit here is the key. We have seen so many startups fail because they don't have a product market fit, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that definitely comes after a lot of good research.
Right, right. So, okay, so research is important. You mentioned storytelling as a skill is important. But when
Yeah.
we look at marketing, there are different segments of marketing, right? There is digital marketing, there is, media, there is PR, there is advertisement. Which is most essential to learn for a startup founder as a skill to develop for a startup founder?
Again, I would love to say storytelling, but if I would like to, if I can put it in a very simplistic way, uh, creating good content that will sell,
Hmm.
right? If you have your idea, if you know your product, if you know your brand in and out, and you have done good research on your target audience, right?
Hmm.
Creating the right content which will get you those initial customers,
Right.
right? That is the skill that every founder I think should be learning. And I think in today's age, learning is not a problem or there is no hindrance to learning, right? There are a lot of free courses available, there are a lot of trainers,
Right.
mentors who have a lot of videos uploaded online.
Right.
So
Right.
if you want to do good marketing, creating that good content is essential. And again, that will definitely be supported by storytelling as a skill.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. So, but as a founder, we get caught up in many shiny things. As I said, there is too many experts out there. Even if we talk about YouTube, we get to see a lot of new trends coming up. Nowadays, the reels are very important. Eventually, the posts or the social media was very important. Uh, Webinars have picked up quite well now. So, when we have to start focusing on developing the brand, which laser focus tactic is recommended from your side?
Can you please come again? Because it was a very long question. Or maybe if you can break that into two.
Okay, so I'm simplifying it. Okay, so I'm saying that there are too many trends which are
Perfect.
talked about. There is AI now in the market. There is reels and there are webinars, which are the other channel for marketing and promoting yourself. A lot of coaches or online coaches are doing webinars and promoting their products, their edtech products, and other products in the market. So, as a startup founder, which channel is or which method is that you recommend? Should we focus on, or should we, have absolute like lock and key kind of a setup on that?
So I'll first answer the first part of your question, which I think is about, people always want to hop onto a trend, right?
Yeah,
There are a lot of mediums available, there are a lot of platforms available, there are a lot of trends that get created in today's digital world, right?
right.
And we have seen, being in the marketing and branding industry, we have seen many founders come to us and say that I want to do this particular reel because it is trending. Now,
Hmm.
when we face with such a situation, we always first try and understand why is it necessary for them to hop onto this trend or be
Hmm.
available on this particular platform, right? Because not necessarily every trend that has come up in the so-called social media domain
Hmm.
is fitting right in your kitty of the products or services that you offer.
Right.
If you are, for
Right.
example, a B2B business, right? And there is some trending reel that is happening around the world with a trending song, and you'll see your friends making a reel out of it, you'll see other brands making some content out of it, right?
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
will generally fit your industry, your target audience? So
Hmm.
here,
Hmm.
before even hopping to any trend or getting attracted to a very shiny object or a glowing object कि हाँ ये अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे करना चाहिए मेरे brand के लिए. Here I think the key should be KYC, right? KYC हम सबने सुना है कि banking language में KYC is know your customer. Same goes for branding and marketing, right? You should know your customer amazingly well, that you should never go wrong there. So if you know your customer, where they are present, what kind of content they are watching, what kind of platforms they are visible on, where they spend majority of their times, and then you try and get on to communicating about your product or about your brand, then there are very less chances that you will, unwantedly or without any reason hop onto a trend or get attracted to a platform which is maybe not necessary for you, right? Just to give you an example, if you are an IT company and you are making a billboard ad which Zomato and Swiggy had trended, I think, long time back, but your customer is not here to watch that kind of content because you are a more formal kind of an organization, right? Your target audience in the particular brand is the IT head. Probably he's not on LinkedIn to watch that content, right? So KYC is the most important thing here.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, knowing your customer does help, and also targeting your customer in a manner is also necessary, which is where I believe most of the co-founders fail because they don't understand what is their ideal customer profile and where can they find their customer actually. They just go haywire, कि हमें brand बनाना है, just and they follow blindly the protocols of
So
cred
I
and
tell you what
Fevicol.
what happens what happens in today's day and age is I want to start a company, I want to do
Hmm.
marketing for my brand. Well, यहाँ
Hmm.
तक सब सही है, ठीक है. I want to be present on Instagram. I want to be present on Snapchat. But why? The
Hmm.
question is
Right.
why? Why is your customer present there? Is your
Hmm.
customer spending time there? Or
Hmm.
is your if your customer is even present on that platform, is he or she ready to learn about your brand on that platform? Yes or no?
Hmm.
That is what you have to
Interesting.
identify.
Interesting.
If as startup founders, if we can know our customers better and identify these our customer personas, so-called customer personas, right?
Hmm.
What are
Hmm.
his or her likes, dislikes, what they want? How can our product solve their problems?
Right.
I think
Right.
that will solve the majority of your problem when you go to market your brand or market about your product or service.
Okay. So, Ankit, as a marketer, okay, let's say you're helping a startup, okay, and a startup is a fresh startup who is just walking into your office, what would be the first question that you ask them to uncover their brand's essence?
Sorry, I lost you in between due to technical glitch. Can you repeat?
Yeah, I was saying, let's say a startup has just walked into your office and
Okay.
you're guiding them to build their brand.
Okay.
What would be the first thing that you would wish to identify to uncover their brand's essence?
This is actually a funny one, yeah. So what I prefer doing and what I generally do is I try and relate that brand to a Bollywood movie or any actor or
Hmm.
actress or any character from any movie that I've liked or that I can relate to.
Hmm.
So what
Hmm.
this does is that this helps me identify one is the customer persona, right? कि इसको क्या टाइप का कंटेंट मैं दिखा सकता हूँ, right? एक बार
Okay. Can
because
you
we
can you
all
give
have,
can you
yeah,
give some example with that?
like for example, this brand that you call you have these innerwear brand, very trendy, Hummer, if you've heard,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
This is not our customer, but just to give you an example, if Bummer
Hmm.
comes to us that they want to do a marketing, how will I identify or who will I connect this brand to? I would
Hmm.
connect this brand to Ranveer Kapoor from say Wake Up Sid, the kind
Hmm.
of character he was in that movie,
Hmm.
right? And then try and develop your marketing communications for this brand.
Hmm.
Then I'll be able to give justice to this brand, develop right kind of content, identify the right platform for the brand, build marketing communications, distribute your marketing message. That is again very important, right? How can you distribute your marketing
Right.
message to the audience? Then I
Right.
think
Right.
this will definitely help, right? What
Right.
generally people do is they make a creative, social media पे post कर दिया, मेरा marketing शुरू हो गया. They make a generic message which is for everyone,
Hmm.
right? So I don't want to be very harsh and rude in saying that ये गलत है, but it is, right?
No, actually, it is.
If you are building a marketing message for everyone, then it is meant for no one. As simple as
Hmm.
that. It is meant for no one because no one is going to watch
Interesting.
it. You have to be,
Interesting.
like you mentioned, you have to be laser sharp focused when you are putting across your brand communications.
Right.
एक
Right.
ब्रांड कैसे बिल्ड होता है? ब्रांड जेनरोसिटी और जेनरिक चीजों से बिल्ड नहीं होता. ब्रांड इज बिल्ड बाय एक्सक्लूसिविटी. A
Hmm.
brand is built by consistent communication in that exclusive way that you are going to build a brand.
Okay. So how do we give an identity to the brand? As you mentioned, the first step is to compare yourself to a Bollywood movie or a Bollywood actor or actress. That
This is
way
what
you
I
can,
generally do. People might
yeah.
different brand
No,
managers
that's
or
that's
marketing.
actually interesting. That's really interesting. In fact, I would recommend startup founders to do that because that makes it easier for them to compare the characteristics of the brand.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we all are connected to Bollywood in some or the other way, right? And we have our own
Right.
favorite characters, favorite movies.
Right. Cool. Okay, so Ankit, let's say you are, I'll give you a superpower right now. Okay. Let's say you are a mastermind who can peek into the future. Cool. What are the three characteristics that should define your startup's brand which are everlasting for next 5 years, 10 years?
Three superpowers that will keep my brand relevant for 5 years, 10 years. Yeah. One I think is you should be always one is experimenting.
Okay.
Yeah, experimenting in terms of uh, what can you communicate, how can you communicate, because not necessarily always once you have found a product market fit, not necessarily it will stay as is, because we are living in a digital world, we are living in a world which is social media dominated, where your customers' needs, demands, wants change, and this change that we're seeing in today's time, it is changing very frequently as compared to our parents' age, right? उनकी जो एक need या एक want है, right from the time they were born और probably बड़े हो गए कमाना शुरू हो गए तब से जो उनकी need या want है, it stays with them for a longer time. But now it changes, right? Why? Because we see a
Okay.
lot of things on internet, we see a lot of things on social media. आज मुझे, for example, मुझे मालदीव्स घूमने जाना है. Next year I want to go to London. उसके बाद I want to go to US, right? So one is you always have to be experimenting and stay customer focused.
Okay.
If you're not customer focused, you lose your path in a way. Right? So second would be stay always customer focused. कि मेरे customer को क्या चाहिए? As simple as that.
Hmm.
This is no complicated gyan. But if you're not customer focused, be out of business. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to give you an example here, okay, I'll give my own example. So when I started way back in 2012, okay, that was
Mhm.
a time where it was majorly dominated by traditional kind of marketing, right? If I want to
Right.
start a business, right, and if I want to touch base or if I want to communicate with my customers or if I want to tell them that, boss, I've launched this product, come to me and buy this product. What I would do is I would go to a printer, I would ask him or her to make a brochure or a flyer. I will get it distributed in a traditional way, or I will have a sales team who will do it for me. Right? So way back in 2012, we started as a design and print service providing company. Okay, and we were called the Hangover, the Print Studio in 2012 when we started.
Hmm.
But as the markets change, and as I said, right, the customer focus होना बहुत जरूरी है. So we saw in next 3 years, we saw a shift in demand of our customers. They were
Hmm.
moving towards digital. They were
Hmm.
finding better results in digital marketing.
Okay.
They were able to target their TG better than a traditional form of marketing. So I'm not
Okay.
saying that traditional is dead, but I'm saying digital was giving better results. This I'm talking about in
Hmm.
the age of, in the year say maybe 14 or 15. Okay.
Hmm.
So as a business, we took that call that we will also, as our customer focus is changing, we will also change our focus. We will also move towards digital. So I
Hmm.
myself took a 4 month digital marketing course, learned the basics of it. Because I believe कि अगर मुझे मेरे customers को कुछ service देना है, I should at least know the basics of it. So when I'm pitching to them, when I'm meeting them, when I'm targeting them, though I have outsourced my work to my team, I should at least know the basics. Otherwise, I won't be able to sell. As simple as that, right? So I myself
Right.
did that course, and then we launched these services for our customers.
Right. Right.
Right? Being customer focus again here is extremely important. And third
Okay.
is stay adaptable.
Okay.
Stay adaptable as in कि अगर I would have been rigid and said कि नहीं मैंने प्रिंटिंग और डिजाइन का बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया था मैं मरते दम तक यही करूंगा. I would have been thrown out of market by this time. I wouldn't
Hmm.
have been relevant, right? कि मैंने मेरे ब्रांड नेम 2012 में द प्रिंट स्टूडियो रखा था. ये मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब है. I don't want to change it because मेरे मॉम ने या मेरे डैड ने मुझे ये नाम दिया था ब्रांड का. I am emotionally attached. I'm not adaptable to change, right? So what used to happen is when we shifted our focus, we added other, value-added services for our customers, and when we pitched them about digital marketing, we pitched them about web, online presence, website building, and all of these other services. And when you go there, when you meet and you tell them that you're coming from the print studio, there is a
Hmm.
disconnect. So you have to be adaptable. We changed our branding. We renamed ourselves to Hangover Media since 2015,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. So, Ankit, we spoke about adapting to the changes. We spoke about, trying and seeing if, the trial and error and everything. But then I see some brands whose legacy continues for, more than a decade.
Yeah.
So giving you an example, So let's say LG. Okay, so the tagline of LG, "Life's good."
That's
You know,
true.
that's still valid, right? And however, there are some other brands who keep on changing their logos. Even Mahindra changed their logo, like the third time now. So my question is, how do we create this kind of a legacy that can go with a startup, for next 5 years, or on the contrary, should startups focus on legacy creation, or they should just go with the flow?
So, do you actually know what was the first product that LG had created?
No, sorry, I don't.
So, LG छोड़ दो. Nokia. We know Nokia as a brand
Yeah,
who used to manufacture phones, right?
I yeah, yeah.
Nokia phones. हम सब ने हमारे कॉलेज डेज में नोकिया के ही फोन्स यूज किए हैं. There were I think more than
Hmm,
100 plus models. We know Nokia as a phone manufacturer,
correct,
right?
correct.
But what was the first product of Nokia? Or what
Yeah,
was the first
it was tools, right? Yeah, the
Nokia's
hardware
first
tools.
product that I've heard was a toilet paper roll.
Okay, interesting.
So for a startup founder, right, what
हाँ,
happens is कि हमने या बहुत लोगों के साथ शायद ऐसा होता है कि मैंने बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया तो आई वांट टू बी अ परफेक्शनिस्ट. मैं 15 साल 20 साल 50 साल का सोच के चलूंगा मेरा ब्रांड उतने तक चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा, राइट? बट आर
right.
यू श्योर कि आपका ब्रांड 50 साल तक टिकेगा, कंपटीशन से बाहर नहीं होगा,
Hmm,
राइट? या आप इवॉल्व नहीं हो सकते हो 50 साल तक? आर यू श्योर?
hmm,
नो, राइट? तो हम क्या
yeah.
करते हैं कि वो परफेक्शन के चक्कर में वी डोंट लॉन्च.
Hmm,
कि नहीं, मुझे तो ये परफेक्ट करके ही मैं लॉन्च. मुझे लोगो डिजाइन करना है, लोगो में मेरी एलिमेंट अगर राइट साइड पे ऐसा प्रॉपर दिखेगा तो ही मैं फाइनल करूंगा, या ये कलर आएगा तो ही मेरे लिए अच्छा है. और माय मार्केटिंग
correct.
कम्युनिकेशन इज अबाउट कि अगर मेरा
Hmm,
इमेज मेरे को नहीं चाहिए चाहिए वैसा तक जब तक नहीं मिल रहा है तब तक मैं उसको फाइनल नहीं करूंगा. People have that notion that they want to be a perfectionist always, but being
hmm,
a
hmm,
perfectionist in business always holds you.
hmm,
It always holds you. So I'm not saying कि आपको आपका रिसर्च नहीं करना चाहिए या always you should let it go everything, but don't try to be a perfectionist always and मैं 20 साल तक ये कर सकूंगा या नहीं कर सकूंगा उसके बेसिस पे ही मैं चलूंगा. In today's day and age, again if we compare, कितने नए कंपनी स्टार्ट हो रहे हैं, कितने नए कंपनीज अपना डाइवर्जन ला रहे हैं in their businesses, right?
right. Hmm,
So I would suggest कि if you have an idea, if you found a product market fit, ये बहुत important है कि before finding a
hmm,
product market fit अगर आप launch कर रहे हो कुछ भी, then probably it is foolishness. Find a product
hmm.
market fit and go with the flow. You will evolve.
Okay.
Don't wait कि मैं 25 साल 30 साल तक ये चलाऊंगा मेरा बिजनेस, मेरे बच्चे को देके ही जाऊंगा वो बाद में चलाएगा ही. क्या गारंटी है कि योर चाइल्ड इज गोइंग टू रन द सेम बिजनेस?
It doesn't happen anymore. Yeah.
It doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
True.
it let the, I would say, the business dynamics and the external factors decide how the customers are changing and how you will adapt to those changes.
Hmm,
But find the product market fit, find the right TG for your brand and the problem that your brand or a product or a service is solving for your TG and launch.
hmm.
That is more important.
Okay.
मतलब my example here, I told right कि मुझे I always like to solve problems. ठीक है.
Hmm,
So during our days in when I was doing my masters, so सबको business presentations करने पड़ते हैं for different subjects and all of that. So I had a eureka moment कि यार ये idea है, ये मुझे launch करना है, जिसके लिए मैंने presentation बनाया, we did our research and all of it, and something of that sort never existed in those days. बट व्हाट डिड आई डू? नहीं, मुझे इसको और परफेक्ट करना है, मुझे इसको और परफेक्ट करना है. 3 साल के बाद किसी और ने वो आइडिया लॉन्च कर दिया.
hmm,
एज सिंपल एज दैट. सो हु इज एट लॉस? मी.
hmm, hmm.
So if you'll definitely learn on the way, right? So we all as entrepreneurs, we should be always on a journey of lifelong learning, which probably even I have learned after lot of I would say pitfalls and lot of breaking downs or lot of losses. But yes, I've learned that life में कभी भी learning खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए. Simple है. If you want to stay relevant, you'll have to learn. You'll have to adapt
Hmm.
and go with the flow.
So, I have another question related to this, Ankit. Let's say a startup creates a brand around their product or service. Okay, they do research, they do identify their target audience, they finally establish a personality for their brand. But then, when they start marketing, they realize that it is not connecting with their target audience.
Right.
Okay, for some or the other reason. How often it is easy for them to change their brand story or change their brand persona completely?
Such examples in the past, right? There, yeah. So I was saying we have seen such examples in the past where we have seen brands completely changing their narrative,
Hmm.
completely changing their brand persona.
Hmm.
But when you are changing it, it has to come after good amount of research and data that validates your thinking or
Hmm.
validates your assumption. Because first time you had already goofed up. Where first time probably there are two scenarios to it. One is that first time you must have not done your research in the right way, probably, yeah, and adhure mein shuru kar diya. Second is it could be that your customers' preferences have changed and you have to adapt.
Hmm. True.
So again, so you have to start from zero. Again, do that amount of research of understanding your customer, what you are offering to your customer, how it is fitting in the product market fit for your customers or the TG that you've identified, right? Maybe you'll have to do the entire branding exercise, right from changing your logo to your brand identity. If it is a product, then changing your packaging, right? Because my customers' preferences have changed, or probably I didn't identify the right kind of customer in the beginning, so I'll have to change myself, right? If you talk about Amazon, Amazon started as a online book selling company, right?
Right.
So I think if you've seen their first logo of Amazon, it was
Hmm.
an book, right? But then they
Yeah.
identified that they wanted to shift in a different market. So that is again probably a third scenario. They wanted to shift to a different market. They saw a opportunity there in the market,
Hmm.
right? E-commerce में. And now they
Hmm.
change their identity completely, right? You've seen that,
Right. Right.
right? And also sometimes it so happens that your brand is so old. Like if you've seen the recent example of Air India rebranding themselves, we've been seeing that
Hmm.
Air India ka Maharaja since such a long time, since so many
Hmm.
decades, that it
Hmm.
is very difficult for us to now imagine that Air India is something different,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So again, you have to start from zero, understanding who your customer is, again understanding who your competition is going to be in the new market that you're going to enter.
Right.
इन सारी चीजों में हम कई बार कंपटीशन को तो भूल ही जाते हैं. Okay, if I'm entering a new segment, if I'm entering a new zone, who's the competition there? Who is dominating the market there?
Hmm.
And how am I going to break them with my product or service?
Okay, so let's talk about this. How can we differentiate ourselves in terms of branding with our competition?
Branding in terms of competition, right? Very, very common question that we tend to get asked by a
Yeah,
lot of founders that we meet or clients that we onboard. Okay, branding क्या है सबसे पहले, right? So I'll probably take a little longer on this. People think
sure.
logo बना लिया is branding.
Hmm.
मेरा logo सबसे अलग है is मेरा brand बन गया. But
Hmm.
that is not true. What
Hmm.
is branding? Branding is basically every customer touch point that you see. It starts obviously with your logo, right? But it goes way, way beyond your logo. It is every customer touchpoint, or it is a thing that touches any of the five senses that you have. So branding can
Right.
be even created by the kind of taste that you deliver, or the kind of smell
Hmm.
that your product gives, right? Or
Hmm.
the feel that when you touch that product, और obviously visual तो है ही, right? So
Hmm.
branding के लिए सबसे important एक चीज जो है is consistency,
Okay.
which in today's time many cannot follow. When I say consistency, people kind of get bored, right? कि मेरा ये प्रोडक्ट है, उसका पैकेजिंग है, राइट? सारे प्रोडक्ट्स का पैकेजिंग एक जैसा ही दिख रहा है, सबके
Hmm.
लोगो आपने उसी जगह पे पोजीशन किया है,
Yeah.
सबका फोटोग्राफ उसी जगह पे है, but
Hmm.
you fail to understand that consistency creates the brand trust. सब में आपने
Okay.
एक ही कलर यूज किया है, राइट? लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, ठीक है? इफ
Sure.
यू आर गोइंग ऑन अ वेकेशन, ठीक है, एंड इफ यू
Hmm.
booked a room on Oyo Rooms website, which is a very famous Indian startup that we all know, successful one obviously, right? And you visit their place, and reception पे you find someone who's wearing a checks ka shirt which is maybe say purple color. You enter a room and you find the linen inside the room. Sometimes it is black, sometimes it is brown, right? You go to the reception, the branding over there, Oyoka logo is written in some cursive fonts and it is on a brown background. Tell me how much will you trust that place? What is the color of Oyo? What is the Oyo recognized as? Red and white. We
Hmm.
predominantly have
Hmm.
Oyo in red and
Yeah.
white. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you visit them and if you see a receptionist wearing a red colored uniform, tick one. If you see their signage is in red and white, tick two. If you see their bed linens, which is again in red or their brand colors, tick three. Similarly, there are
Interesting.
various customer touch points, and the
Hmm.
consistency has to be maintained. So the founders sometimes forget that the brand that they're creating is for their customers and not for themselves.
Hmm.
Keep your customer in mind. It is going to be very simple. आज एक सिंपल है ना, कोको कोला हम इतने सालों से पीते आ रहे हैं. कोको कोला इफ
Yeah.
यू गेट इट इन येलो कलर का बॉटल, आर यू गोइंग टू हैव इट?
No, of course not. Hmm.
कोको कोला इन रेड एंड व्हाइट कलर का स्ट्रिप, एज सिंपल एज दैट.
Hmm. No, even the bottle, the shape of the bottle
The shape
is,
of the bottle, right? It is the feel.
yeah,
That is a
it's
custom
become
made bottle that they have designed, right?
right,
How
right.
else? How else is Coca-Cola reminding you of their brand? Is the bubbles that come out of the fizz that comes out, right? That gives you a hint of Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola uses all the five senses in their marketing or brand building process to the
Hmm.
core, and I
Hmm.
love the brand for that.
Hmm.
Simple.
Interesting.
So always, if you are building a brand, think of your customer. Build for them and not for you.
Hmm. So, Ankit, understood that we start with research, right? We take inputs from our customers, how they envision our brand, and then we formulate a branding strategy for us.
Correct?
It is sounding simple, but on the contrary, it is quite difficult also. I'm just giving an example. I go to my clients, I ask them how they feel or how they relate my product with. Maybe I will get different kind of answers.
Yeah.
So how can I identify the one method, or do I have to lead the communication to my customer that this is what I am.
Okay. So your first part, I think, was that it becomes difficult to communicate your brand, right?
Correct.
Right. So first is communicating about your brand or building your brand is not going
Hmm.
to be easy. I never said it is
Hmm.
easy. I said you have to be consistent. I never said it is easy. So I
Okay.
always quote this to my clients, right? Rome was not built in a day, nor will be your brand.
Hmm.
As simple as
Hmm.
that. It
Hmm.
is going to take its own time. When I say own time, for some brands it will be 1 month, for some brands it will be 10 months, for some brands it will be 10 years, or for some brands it will be never, right? We
Okay.
nowadays in the age of social media, we've heard about so many case studies. These are
Hmm.
profitable brands, or I would say profitable companies, but we don't know them as a brand,
Hmm.
right? They've not taken that conscious effort in building brand. Maybe their agenda is to build profits, and it is okay. But if you want to build that brand, it will take its time, and it will happen only in one way: is being consistent across all your communications, right? So when I say consistent across all your communications is, okay, when you are meeting your client personally, okay, what are the visual cues that you give about your brand to your client?
Okay.
Okay? Again, not boasting, but
Hmm.
someone who will meet me for the second time, they will remember me for my sunglasses or these specs, right? Not
Interesting.
because
Yeah.
it is a differently made or a very vague shape, but it has my brand name written here, Hangover,
Ah, nice.
right? So
Hmm.
I believe that whenever you meet your customer, leaving the visual cues that you want them to speak about is most important.
Hmm.
Some very famous person has said that, okay, what is branding? Branding is something that someone says about you when you're not in the room, or people say about you when you're not in the room,
Hmm.
right? So whenever people, I've met just last week, I met someone and he mentioned that कि अरे तेरे बारे में एक जन से बात कर रहा था, and उसने बोला अच्छा हैंगओवर उससे तो मैं मिला हूँ. And I said, how did he remember about me? He said कि वो दाढ़ी वाला बंदा है, उसके चश्मे पे भी हैंगओवर लिखा है. As simple as that.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
And
Okay.
also when you're building your brand, you also kind of develop your brand persona. So that persona has to come out every day, be it in a physical meeting, be it in an emailer that is going out, be it on social media, or be it on a gift that you presented to your clients.
Okay. So probably that is the reason why organizations give the brand embossed diaries or pens or visiting card holders to their sales team, right?
These are
Again, I'm assuming, but
visual cues that you leave behind.
right, right.
Yeah. Though
Interesting.
I am giving the
Interesting.
services of digital marketing and someone tells me, okay, Acha, if you are building my website, can you also make a digital business card for us? And I say, no, please don't. Digital business
Okay.
card में क्या होता है कि I just tap on the back of your mobile phone, he'll save
Yeah.
my number and probably he'll not remember my name.
Huh. NFC में, yeah,
So
actually.
when you give them a physical card, it stays with them.
Hmm.
I would call them the residues of my brand, which I've planted everywhere.
Right, right. So something against the new technology. Okay,
Absolutely.
guys, interesting to note. Don't opt for NFC cards, rather give a physical card because that leaves the mark of your brand with the client. Interesting,
Absolutely.
interesting. Great. So Ankit, let's move a bit forward on the strategy part of brand building. Okay,
Yeah.
so what is a kind of a growth hacking strategy that any startup can just start and kickstart their brand building exercise?
So here again, when we talk about growth strategy, uh, again, right, to quote a very few people, it has become a buzzword in today's time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm a growth hacker. So what do you mean by growth hacking? Growth hacking is simple. It is a marketing tactic, but when you say growth hacking, you reach your audience in the minimal possible cost and at the minimal possible
Hmm.
time in the uniquest way. Because when you are starting up, the first thing that you have is deficiency of funds.
Right.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
is what you
Hmm.
have, deficiency of funds. ठीक है. So सबसे पहले budgets कहाँ से cut होते हैं? Marketing budgets are cut first. Because when you are building your startup, you would invest
Hmm.
also in your operations, right?
Right.
If you are a product company, you are investing in machinery, you are investing in
Right.
packaging, right? If you're a
Right.
services company, you are hiring the right team members to serve your customers,
Hmm.
correct? So उसमें क्या होता है कि marketing budgets are cut first. That is
Hmm.
the reason the term that was coined is growth hacking. So I'll hack the growth for you at very minimum cost and time. So इसमें there cannot be one single answer that will work for everyone.
Hmm.
ठीक है? If you want to do growth hacking, you will have to again start with KYC, know your customer, understand their needs, understand their wants, understand their desires, understand their fantasies, right? If you can identify these things perfectly, then you'll be able to pinpoint on one strategy, probably. Okay, again, when it comes to growth hacking, there's no sure shot okay, it will work for you because it has worked for XYZ brand.
Hmm.
There's no 100% guarantee, right? Sometimes for the other brand, it has worked because they have done an amazing research on their customers. Sometimes it may be so due to external factors, your product is doing amazingly well, right? जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इफ वी हैव सीन के ये जो टॉफी का बिजनेस होता था दैट अगर हम कहीं गए और मुझे किसी को 9 रुपए देने हैं आई गिव हिम 10 रुपए का नोट ही विल गिव मी वन टॉफी राइट उनका बिजनेस तभी तो बहुत जोरों से चल रहा था यूपीआई आने के बाद वो कम हो गया सो देन दे माइट बी थिंकिंग कि मेरा आइडियल कस्टमर कौन है तो वो जनरल स्टोर वाला है जो मेरा टॉफी बहुत ज्यादा बेच रहा है बट इज नॉट सेलिंग योर प्रोडक्ट राइट तो
He's
उसके
only
लिए वो
displaying
स्ट्रेटेजी
it.
नहीं करेगा देयर इज नो
Hmm.
मैच देयर you cannot say कि मेरे लिए sometimes it is due to external factors so this was due to an external factor so you cannot justify कि उसके लिए काम किया तो मेरे ब्रांड के लिए भी करेगा
Right. So I remember an example here of Balaji chips. Uh,
perfect
they used guerrilla marketing. What they did is they hired people and their employees. They made their employees act as a customer and go ask the shopkeeper, "Do you have Balaji chips?" And
yeah
eventually, the shopkeeper came to the brand and asked for the chips because there is a demand. And
correct
then they started displaying it. Um,
similar
now,
similar similar strategy was when we listening to a lot of podcasts and content similar strategy was adapted by boat ka founder
hmm,
he said he'd asked his wife and his mother probably to go on different stores in their locality and ask कि अगर आपके पास बोट के headphones हैं क्या
hmm,
but not necessarily it will work for you always. We've
true.
even seen a similar marketing technique or guerrilla marketing technique bolo या growth hacking bolo. A case of Red Bull. How
Yeah.
did Red Bull create that demand? Right. What they did was empty cans they threw outside the clubs and pubs के भाई people are consuming Red Bull.
Hmm,
जो वहां पे कोई कंज्यूम नहीं कर रहा है बट वहां पे यू विल फाइंड अ पाइल ऑफ रेड बुल का कैंस
true.
But here, I would like to bring you back to something which is called as identifying your customer and their needs and wants. So they understood कि उनके customers कौन हैं. Youngsters
Hmm.
who go to pubs or clubs,
Hmm.
or who
Hmm.
wants a high adrenaline, right? Where do they find them? They identified a place. Then it was about placement of their ads. So how you do it differently, placement of your marketing communication, how you do it differently is what I would quote, or I would define as growth hacking. Simple.
Okay. Okay. Cool, Ankit. We are close to our session getting over, but it is really, really interesting, and I have too many questions which are coming up.
Okay.
However, with limit of time, I will ask you one last question,
Okay.
which is what is going to change in the coming next 2 years, 3 years period of time
Hmm.
for in terms of brand building and marketing?
Uh, I would say for marketing, a lot of things are going to change with the advent of AI.
Hmm.
Yeah. But for brand building, I think it will remain the same. If you stick to your basics, it is going to be the same. Stay consistent, identify your right audience, and communicate to them. But for marketing, a lot of things are going to change. As we have already seen, because of AI, many industries are getting disrupted, and marketing is not left behind. Right?
Hmm.
If I talk about our example, we are a marketing agency and we have got a competition, right? If you have heard of, five porters, five forces model,
Yeah.
right? So this is an external factor that no one could have probably visualized coming. If I'm
Hmm.
talking about marketing as an industry, right? कि हमने
Right.
सोचा था कि competition आएगा कहाँ से आएगा? So there, due to lockdown, hundreds of people started their own agencies. Hundreds of people became designers, thousands maybe, yeah, from our area, and they started giving their service at a dirt cheap cost. And we thought, okay, chalo,
Right.
these are our competitions. But AI, no one saw coming, and it has come.
Hmm.
So again, as we mentioned, right, the three characteristics that you need to have as a brand, and we discussed that. So now is, okay, due to technology, marketing is going to change. Your messaging is becoming more and more personalized. Why?
Right.
Because one is your customer is expecting that. Second is the output time that is required to bring out any message by a brand. It has become very less because of AI and technology. Yeah. So people are expecting a lot of new things. पहले चल जाता था अभी नहीं चलेगा. Correct. So that
Hmm.
is changing. So you have to be adaptable to change. You have to adapt to AI. You have to adapt the technologies come up to stay relevant. And now these kind of changes are gonna come. So earlier, if we talk about traditional business in traditional times, earlier these kind of changes used to come maybe 10, 15, 20 years में एक बार. Now you will see it every
Hmm.
1 year, every 2 years.
Interesting.
So the if I talk about marketing, it will become more hyper personalization. Right? We are already at a stage of personalization. It will become hyper personalization of marketing, or the communication messages that go out to your customers. We are already seeing a lot of social media platforms adapting to this. Right? We
Hmm.
have seen due to technology, you cannot these cookies. If you know the concept of cookies in
Yeah.
websites, earlier you were allowed cookies. Now cookies are no more allowed. The third
Hmm.
party, right? So you have to rely on first party cookies to do the personalized targeting to your audience.
Right.
Correct. So उससे क्या होगा कि you will have to build your own communities. And we have
Hmm.
seen, or probably the social media giant platforms have already identified this thing and they have already started building it. So you've seen there are communities that are coming on WhatsApp, there are communities that are coming on Instagram, right?
Right.
So you'll have to build your niche customer ka community.
Interesting. Hmm.
That is going to be the next change. Now you'll see a lot of communities will be built on WhatsApp specifically because the platform का adaptability, the platform का distribution is so huge. मतलब right from एक school going child से लेके our parents are on WhatsApp.
Hmm.
So it will make sense where you will be the master of pure data and not some other third party platform. So this is the shift that I see coming, and which is probably already come. And for 2024, you'll have to be ready to build your community based audience.
Interesting. You actually gave me a new topic for my webinar, Ankit. Community building. I would definitely look into it.
So if you want to look into it, just a tip for you: go look out for an app called nas.io. So this is an
Yeah.
app by Nas Daily, right? Yeah,
Yes.
this app
Yes.
helps you build communities. Yeah,
Hmm.
try that.
Sure. Of course. Great. So we have one question from the audience.
Okay.
The question is, how do we reach out to more audience?
Hmm. Simple. How do we reach out to
Simple.
more audience? Okay.
Yep.
You see, this has become very, very easier, I would say. I wouldn't say cheaper, but I would say it has become very easier in this age of digital marketing. Right?
Okay.
When we talked about traditional forms of marketing, आज से 10-12 साल पहले it wouldn't have been possible to reach to more and more audiences. If I want to start a company in UK sitting in India, 10-15 साल पहले वो possible नहीं था. But now it is possible. Right?
Right.
I can market my products or services sitting here in India to the audiences in US, UK, or any part of the world for that matter.
Hmm.
The platforms are there to reach to these audiences. It is just that you have
Right.
to spend the kind of money that is needed to reach them. But I would say this is very, very cheaper as compared to traditional forms of marketing. But digital is the
Hmm.
way. Digital is going to be the way at least for the next 5-7 years before probably AI disrupts it completely.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure
You
we'll
have
live
to, you
strong
have
to
to,
face that.
to be a little more precise. Sorry, you'll have to be better at targeting your right customer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, क्या है कि we always burned our hands and money in reaching out to our customers without even identifying who they are.
Right. Right. Great. Ankit, throughout the session, we have spoken about researching, targeting your audience, and
Hmm.
communicating as per your brand personality to the right audience in a right manner through the right channel. So I hope I've summarized it properly, and perhaps we would have one more round of session with you where we understand how can we target the right audience in a right manner.
Perfect.
Great.
Perfect.
So thank you so much, Ankit. It has really been a real insightful session. I'm sure a
Thank you.
lot of startup founders, would have gained this insight, and they would not rush to create their brand identity or branding
And
before they know their customer.
yes, KYC is the key.
KYC is the key.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you so much, Ankit. It was real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Rakesh, once again for inviting. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us patiently. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Yeah, bye.
Bye.